So on the 1st of March, I wanted to stop relying on my wrist straps, also add some size to my forearms, maybe get the veins to come up as well. So I looked on the internet, I read about 50 articles, watched the same number of YouTube videos, and I tried to construct a kind of ultimate workout plan for forearm size and grip strength. What I have is pretty close, so here we go. So first we'll talk results. In 6 weeks I added 1/3 of an inch to my forearms. I don't use straps for any of my lifts anymore, and I can also hold onto a bar with my girlfriend hanging off me. I will go through every exercise I tried in a minute, but first one quick point. Grip strength and forearm size are two different things. You can train your grip without getting giant forearms, and you can grow your forearms without improving your grip. So depending on your goal, you want to be selective with your exercises, and I'm going to go over them now. Let's start with plate pinch. Nice and simple. Sadly, it used to be my go-to exercise. The consensus was that you can't get sufficient loading, there's no pump, and it's nearly all finger work. So for the gym, it's not worth your time. If you're a rock climber, maybe it has its uses. Next up, static holds. That is simply holding a weight off the ground for as long as you can. Generally while not moving, unless you have a big area to do farmer's walks. If you want to work on forearm size, you should shoot for 30 to 60 second holds, 3 to 5 sets. For grip strength, you're looking at 8 to 12 seconds per hold. Try 4 to 6 sets and give yourself a decent recovery between each. For forearm size, my favourite static lift was a seated dumbbell hold, which can be done with or without fat grips, which I'll cover later. For grip strength, I did a rack pull for a static hold. I've been working with 110 kilos, which I can hold for about 10 or 11 seconds each set. Remember, for strength work, you can give yourself a longer rest. Another kind of static hold is simply doing what I used to have straps for, but don't anymore. That is things like RDL, heavy deadlifts, bent over rows, and power cleans. We'll move on to bicep curls now. So another easy way to change your existing sessions is to switch your grip, particularly if all you do are regular curls. So you can do hammer curls, which is a neutral grip, or use a reverse grip with pronation. If you do hammer curls, you can bring your hand to the near side of the handle to put more strain through the forearms. I like to do easy bar reverse curls, 3 sets of 10, and then hit the hammer curls for 3 slow sets of 12. I also enjoyed Zottman curls, and I include alternate Zottman curls in my training now. Next up is fat grips. I'm not someone who's going to spend 25 quid on a piece of foam, so I went to my local DIY store, picked up some pipe insulation for 2 quid, and these work just as well. Just cut them into 2 sizes like this. So fat grips are better for fixed wrist movements. Several articles said they're fine for a static hold, but if you're doing any flexion and extension, you should stick with a regular bar, or you're going to risk bringing on wrist pain. I stick them on when I'm doing higher reps on the bench press, and occasionally for my seated dumbbell holds. Chin-ups and pull-ups. You're supporting your body weight with your grip. If you aren't already doing them, they're a really good thing to include in your training program. I went for a slightly more advanced version, towel chin-ups. So I bought a cheap pack of hand towels, I loop them over the bar and give them a quick twist, and it's similar to holding onto a rope. You can also put a static hold in here and either hang from the bar or hang from the towels. Make sure you remain active when you do. Here's the difference between active hanging and passive hanging. Okay, on to some of my favourites now, the wrist curls. I started off with the standing version behind the back, but due to personal preference, I eventually settled on a seated version. Thanks to a great tutorial video by Miami Muscle, I put my arms side by side and I use my legs to hold the elbows in place. He also said not to roll the bar on your hands, which other popular videos have said people should do. At the end of my deadlift day, I will do a set of false grip barbell curls to work the flexors, and then straight into false grip dumbbell curls for the extensors. Each set is to failure. Then I will go either into another set or have at most 30 seconds rest. 4 sets of that, and then finish off with this beauty. This is my homemade wrist roller. It's a bit of PVC pipe with a bit of skipping rope put down the middle. So So the principle is the same as wrist curls. Notice as I wind it up, I'm flexing my wrist with each rep, and as I unwind under control, I am coming up into extension. By the way, a mistake many people make, including myself, was to do these arms out in front. Doing it this way will tire the shoulders before anything else, so drop it down to the waist and roll that way. After I've done 4 sets on the curls, I come straight over to this and use it as a finisher. Literally just go up and down, maybe 10 twists each, until I can't hold it anymore. Nearly there, just 2 more, then I put it all together into a training program. Gripper work. I have a grip master, which I do the odd squeeze with at my desk, but it isn't a major part of my training. I've heard the Captains of Crusher grip is another good option, but I think my gym work is sufficient for grip strength. So next up is the Powerball. This gives you a serious pump. You just wind this little lace in and then pull it to get it started. You're going to wind it up with your hand. The faster you go, the more difficult it is. It feels like it's trying to escape from your hand. I use this on my rest days from the gym. I just sit at my desk and maybe use it once on my off days. I will wind it up and keep going with one arm until I can't go anymore, and then switch hands, go back and forth 3 or 4 times, and my forearms are completely toast. Okay, so that's everything. I hope you stayed with me. I'm going to cover a few general points, and then I'm going to show you how I fit it all into a weekly training program. 1, grip strength should be treated like a strength lift. It is near maximal, it's low rep, and you should allow yourself a decent rest. 2, forearm size is your high volume pump chasing reps. You need little to no rest and lots of sets. 3, forearms are stubborn, and for forearm size, you just want to destroy them. As a general rule, I will keep doing the work until I can't write in my training journal and it's a struggle to hold a pen. 4, they also adapt quickly, so you want to be changing your exercises every 2 to 4 weeks, even if that's just the rep ranges. 5, it pays to do a bit of prehab every few days. The guys in the articles recommended band extensors. I find a nice hack is to use a sock. You just put your hands in the sock and you're going to stretch the extensors out and do 3 sets of 20 every few days. 6, as well as prehab, you should also remember to stretch them after each session. That's just a simple flexor and extensor stretch on a bench or on a wall. 7, another little tip is to get hold of a stress ball. It's a nice way to do a bit of active recovery on the days that you're not in the gym. Cool, now how do I fit it all in? Here's my old training program. I'm doing a bit of 5-3-1 with some 3x8 thrown in for assistance lifts. As I said, the first thing I did was to get rid of my straps. This affected my deadlift, bent over row and power cleans. I took out my regular curls and introduced easy curls, Zotmans and hammer curls. My chin-ups are now off a pair of towels, which is harder to hold on to than a regular bar. On deadlift day, I now include 4 sets of max rep wrist curls and then straight into the wrist roller to kill me off. Twice a week I'll use the Powerball, maybe 3 or 4 minutes per hand just for a decent pump. As I said, the stress ball is a great way of getting blood flowing through the muscle when you're not in the gym. Also remembering to do the prehab, stick those fingers in a sock or in the sleeve of a hoodie works as well, just to avoid imbalance injuries. So there we go, I hope there's some good tips you can use. Please share this video around and good luck in your forearm and grip training. Cheers. Shit.